we have in the last 3 years. There has been a decline in suspensions. We wanted to continue to work in that. In our school and climate committee, what the schools do now is they have goals. Goals where we look at our suspension rate, we look at our subgroups, and then we address plans to minimize the time the students are out of class. So that will give the overall number of suspensions over the last 3 years. The second is slide will pertain directly to there are about 17 to 20 areas that the child can be suspended. These are number of suspensions that are related to bullying and harassment over the last 3 years. In that, you can see, again, it is going in a positive direction, but there's, again, work that needs to be done. The way that we take a look at this, in the next slide, is we have what is called the California Healthy Kids Survey. This survey, this one is the 5th graders' response. We established a baseline for the district last year, and beginning this year, all the 5th graders will be taking the California Healthy Kids Survey. You can see from there, this are some of the responses that we've received in regards to that. And we take this information and we work with our school sites so they can develop action plans to again, help and assist with improving the environment. The next slide will refer to the high schools. Again, the high schools, the same things. We have been very fortunate over the last 3 years. We've been part of the Safe Supportive Schools Grant, and we meet once a year, middle school and high school principals and staff, when we talk about school climate, how to improve that. And this will give you some of the indicators, again, of some of the responses and how each site addresses their individual needs. And with that, I'll hand off to Mr. Merriweather, who's going to talk about some of the program that he is overseeing.
All right, thank you, members of the board. Good evening. So what I'm talking about here is tying it into our full service schools initiative. So what we did, as you may know, part of our pilot of the Kennedy family and then the Richmond and San Pablo family as well was just looking at all the programs and services within those two families. So the number was about 216 programs, but what I want you to kind of focus on are the types of programs within each one of those components there and the percentages. So we were kind of excited to see this data as it came together for just these two families so we can start to look at what types of services and where we're directing those services. And then the next slide here is just kind of showing the breakdown for each one of the levels, high school, middle school, and elementary school. One area, and I'll have Jen Rader come up very shortly, she is over our school-based health centers at the James Morehouse Project. If you look at the health and wellness services in the high school, you can look at some of the areas Mr. was talking about earlier, suspensions, expulsions, and things like that. So we started to direct a lot of those services towards the high school with the school-based health center coordinators. Those numbers are lower than as you start to go throughout middle school, elementary school. Those numbers increase with the suspensions and things of that nature. So this is really what I want to kind of show what we're kind of doing with the community schools, really looking at the types of programs we have, and the goal is by the end of the school year to actually do this throughout all of the schools, throughout the whole school district, the remaining families. So then we can kind of capture exactly what the picture looks like for all the schools and all of the programs kind of within each one of these areas. And then as you look at, you have early childhood, after school, family engagement, health and wellness, community engagement, and then academic support. So today we're going to have members from each of those categories kind of talk about how they help us address school climate, things like that. So the first speaker I'll have come up is Jen Rader.
Good evening, members of the board, and Superintendent Carter. It's a privilege to be here with you tonight and to be able to share some thoughts. And I think my sharing will be a little more holistic, and then you can connect the dots. These last few weeks have been a very difficult time for many of us. A lot of what we do well has lifted us up and bound us more closely together as community at El Cerrito High School. And two, these last few weeks have also lifted up a lot of places where we're still learning. And this has been brought forcefully to our attention as well. Any young person that we encounter could be a victim of violence or bullying, a perpetrator, a bystander, or maybe one person could find him or herself as all of the above at different moments. So our work at the James Morehouse Project, and I think at our sister health centers across the district, is to make sure that the care and the love that we extend to our school community includes all of these people in every moment. At El Cerrito High School, the way that we do this holistic and integrated work is by ensuring that none of us as adults on campus work in isolation. The James Morehouse Project collaborates closely with our school administrators, our teacher leaders, and our restorative justice partners from Catholic Charities. Our care and support is integrated into our disciplinary process and also into classroom instruction. All of our efforts reach out to embrace young people who are acting out their pain through challenging behaviors, like we saw a moment ago with the suspensions. Our goal at El Cerrito High School is not to exclude these young people or to separate them from school and learning. We're working together with our teachers to help our teachers see and identify disruptive behaviors in the classroom as trauma-related, and working with our teachers to address these behaviors from that perspective. For me, all of this work has allowed me to feel the most inspired and the most hopeful that I've felt in 25 years of public education, being in the schools. And I came here to remind us how resource-intensive this work is. Last week I was in a harm repair circle, restorative justice practice, with a 9th grader, a teacher who he had cussed out, and 4 other adults. We were talking together in a circle for over 1 hour. It was very moving. It was substantive and powerful work. This young man, this 9th grade student, was included in a conversation that included love, healing, and accountability, instead of a brief conversation with an administrator and a 3 or 5 day suspension. I'm convinced, more than any work that I've done in all the years I've been in this district and other districts, that this specific work and the integration that we do with restorative justice and the other work that we're doing in the school health centers will change our young people. It will change our schools, and I can speak personally, it will change each of us as adults who come to work each day in our schools with our young people.
How long have you been doing this in El Cerrito High, Jan?
Well, I was at El Cerrito High from 89 to 91, and then, as many of us in the room might remember, 91 was a difficult time and I was laid off, and I came back in 97, so I've been at El Cerrito since 97.
So you've been at it for the last 15, 16 years?
A minute. And like anything of value, this work doesn't come cheap and it doesn't come easy. I want to make a call that if our district is committed to restorative justice, then let's make sure that we have dedicated staff at each of our school sites to lead and carry this work. Our already overstretched administrators and teaching staff cannot carry this alone. One last effort that I wanted to speak to is our long history in the WCCUSD of moving toward full inclusion for our LGBT students and families. I've been involved with this work for a long time, first many years ago under the leadership of Diana DeGracia with a district-led LGBTQ task force. And then over the last few years as part of a county-funded Inclusive Schools Coalition that found us as the only school-based partner with community-based agencies, including our very strong district partner, RISE, and also other partners with a long, successful history of supporting social change in inclusive schools, Gender Spectrum, and our Family Coalition.